The Chicago Fire on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward. By Barton Beers, Corona, miles away from ordinary. By Chicago Soccer, your soccer specialty store. Visit us online at www.chicagosoccer.net. And by the Chicago Sun-Times, the official paper of sports. Welcome back to the Toyota pregame show from Toyota Park in Bridgeview, Illinois, everybody. I'm Ken Tomash, along with Kenny Stern, as the Chicago Fire get set to take on DC United. Let's take a look at the first 11s for both teams. 6 All-Stars in Peter Novak's first 11 for DC, Kenny.
A lot of attacking options for DC. Watch Josh Gross, number 17. He loves to work the flanks, spread out the defense. As we turn to the Chicago side of the story, well, Dave Sarakin has stacked his team with a lot of defense, especially in that midfield. Not too many options on the offense. He's showing great respect for DC United. One guy you'll notice who is back in the first 11 for the first time in quite a while is Chris Rolfe. As the summer heats up, the Chicago Fire is looking to feel the burn once again. After a hot start at home that included wins over New York, Salt Lake, and Kansas City, they've lost 2 straight at Toyota Park. But these things run in cycles, and there's no better way to see where you stand than by taking on the best team in the league. 4-time MLS Cup champion DC United brings a 13-game unbeaten streak and 7 All-Stars to Chicago. Watch what happens next on Comcast Sportsnet. He scored the league's goal of the week, but DC United will be looking to Brian Carroll for defense tonight as the MLS Cup champions 4 times take on the Chicago Fire here at Toyota Park, here on Comcast Sportsnet. Welcome, everybody, to the Toyota pregame show from rainy Toyota Park in Bridgeview, Illinois, as the Fire gets set to take on DC United. I'm Ken Tomash, he's Kenny Stern. Chris Dorn will be along shortly. Kenny, we mentioned DC has 7 players in the upcoming All-Star game, but you think it's a guy who won't be on that All-Star team who's been driving DC's attack of late. I really do, Ken. When you play 3 in the defense, as DC United does, you have to have a good defensive holding midfielder. Brian Carroll is that player. He's a very underrated player. He's really evolving into one of the best at MLS. And you know what? Brian Carroll can join into the attack as well. This is the MLS goal of the week, this tremendous strike from Carroll in a recent match. Brian Carroll is an outstanding young player. He's already hit the U.S. national team radar, and pretty soon he's probably going to improve upon that status as well.
Speaking of radar, we'll be keeping an eye on the radar here tonight as the rain has moved in to Toyota Park, and we hope that it will not cause too many troubles tonight, but we'll keep you updated. When we come back on the Toyota pregame show, we'll talk more about this one and show you tonight's starting lineups, and one guy in the lineup for DC United, as he has been for the last 13 games, Freddie Adu. Maybe not coincidentally, United unbeaten in those 13 games. He's not a kid anymore. He's an old man of 17. More on him and the rest of this game coming up next. Stay with us.
To Mr. Stott. It's a big, big field, not only for the players, but for the officials.
Now you can do something with this set piece.
Jakwa has got himself positioned offside. He's probably going to be passive.
Armas runs off it. Gutierrez with the curler. Drops down and put on! And there is Nate Jakwa, the All-Star, with the first goal of the game. Well, he wasn't passive. He was very aggressive.
He was anything but passive, but it was the touch on that put Jakwa in position. Sometimes you just got to get to a spot that if the ball falls right, you're going to have the chance. Perkins, we talked about it early in the game. He comes off the line to try to punch this ball out. The defense goes a little bit soft, and it just falls perfectly for Chicago.
The Chicago Fire on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by the Fire website. Be sure to log on to chicago-fire.com to get the latest info on your Chicago Fire. By Radio Shack. At Radio Shack, you get a phone and plan that fits your wireless needs. Radio Shack, right in your neighborhood. By the Chicago Sun-Times, the official paper of sports. And by American Airlines. We know why you fly. We're American Airlines. Welcome back to Toyota Park and the Radio Shack halftime report. And for only the 4th time all season, the Chicago Fire have a lead at intermission. Nate Jaqua's goal in the 29th minute has given them a 1-0 advantage over DC United. Kenny, this has been a slugfest in the first half. Do you think this lends itself to a Chicago win, or will DC be able to match them punch for punch and come back in the second half?
I've got a feeling DC United is doing a little bit of rope-a-dope with Chicago tonight. They haven't really attacked as much as I think we're going to see in the second half, and the result is going to relate to whether or not Chicago can absorb what DC throws at them while keeping DC honest at the opposite side of the field.
Let's take a look at the punches thrown in the first half. Not all of them were with fists, most of them were with feet.
Yes, say that first half was spirited would be an understatement. This is the first chance in the early moments. Chris Rolfe on the header from point-blank range. Good to see Chris get himself involved early on in the match. Here's a look at the Chicago goal, the long goal of the first half. Nate Jaqua gets on the end after the effort by Segaris. Watch again, Segaris and the goalkeeper, number 25 in red for Chicago, and Perkins. And Segaris, he had about enough time to celebrate till his vision went a little bit blurry. At the opposite side, late in the half, Namath comes forward, number 26 for DC United. Well, he wishes he did a little bit better that opportunity, and boy, oh boy, did things get spirited here. Dason Robinson, the first yellow card, pull out the yellow highliner. It's Logan Paus's turn to go in the book, and finally Ben Olsen says, hey, we're gonna get a few licks in of ourselves. That's a little revenge against Logan Pause, right in front of the 4th official once again.
Now let's take a look at our halftime statistics, brought to you by Corona. Chicago out shooting DC 6-2, and you see the 3 yellow cards. And the Ring of Fire ceremony is taking place right now. Peter Wilt being justly honored, taking his place with the other greats of this franchise. Back with more after this. Don't go away. Robinson can't keep that one in.
Yeah, you know, it's a very funny, fine line, peculiar, but it's one incident to be player versus player, and Logan Pause is going to be out of the game. I'll get to that story. But this situation right here dictates our attention. A second yellow card going to number 12 of the Chicago Fire. 2 yellows equals red. Chicago goes 10 on 11 against DC United. We'll take a look what happened. You know what? Just leave him alone, Logan. Just leave him alone. It's not a basketball game. It's not a jump ball. Somewhere along the line, Logan felt that perhaps it's his team's throw, and he wanted to prevent Freddie Adu from throwing that one in. I'll tell you, I don't understand. I think it's a different player for Chicago wearing number 12 tonight. Logan Pause is usually a very, very bright player, but he's put himself out of this match and hurt his club tonight.
You see Dave Sarakin, and you lip readers. Sarakin said, you gave him a yellow for that? And Kevin Stott said, yep. Dangerous man on set pieces, and he wants order restored. And wants Kevin Stott to move that wall to an appropriate distance. They're going to creep back up anyway. Gomez has a go. Bouncing there. Knocked off the line. Thornton got a paw on it. It's still sitting on the doorstep. Cleared off the line. Boy, that looked like it was into the net.
AR with the flag down.
Now cleared away. The action fast and furious in minute 66 as United thought they had tied the score. Chicago just desperately wants to get it out of their end. And that brings the biggest cheer of the night.
Very heroic goalkeeping on the part of Zach Thornton. He hasn't been busy all night, but this time makes up for it. 1, 2, the ball's going to come out. He's going to handle another one. What a shot by Eskandarian. I looked immediately to the far side AR. He was perfectly positioned. The flag stayed down. The entire ball not crossing the line.
Greg Barkey, the assistant referee on the far side. You saw he was in great position, straddling the goal line. Olsen goes down. Chicago comes back the other way. You need a little luck in this game too, especially when you're down a man and up a goal. There's a different angle of that.
Boy, what a shooting gallery. Eskandarian. There's a look from the low angle right there. And look at the ball right here. The entire ball must cross the line. You saw a little bit of white above white there.
Great shot. I also saw in there, it looked like Bobby Boswell was getting his jersey tugged on a couple of times. That's what happens in those scrums in front of the goal. Touch into space, Moreno. C.J. Brown on him at the edge of the area. Pushes it to the right boot. Up to Gomez. Gomez wants to set himself up. There's Eskandarian. Got to keep an eye on him, and he scores! Aleko Eskandarian has tied the game in the 76th minute. His 7th goal of the year.
DC United earned that goal. They shifted things around up front tactically. Eskandarian ends up much further right than he normally would. Boy, oh boy, you gotta know the player. He's a left-footed player. He's got a strong left foot. I think Gonzalo Segueras overplays the right foot a little bit. Gives a little bit too much respect. That's a sensational individual effort inside the box by Eskandarian.